Dulce won $1,000 on a scratch-off. She wanted to use the money on a trip to Tuscany, but we decided buy drugs with the money and enjoy life together as friends instead. It was my birthday. We were all sitting on the floor with our shoes off. The windows were closed. We held out our palms, clearing the world, and offered our eyes open. Ryan had gathered all that belonged to Felix, the t-shirts he gave him, comb, mirror, silk scarf, toothbrush, and piled it all onto the living room floor. It looked like he tried to put him back together, but it was too much. I have to burn it, Ryan said, pouring salt onto the pile. Salt cleanses negative energy, but I have to get rid of his stuff. It's attracting demons. I walked away from the window, not saying a word. We all grieve in different ways, but he believes he's cursed. He can't accept his boyfriend's death or understand why. I mean, there are those who figure life is not worth living and to save themselves, they have to be killed. The last time I seen Felix, he seemed alright. He seemed completely normal. He hit it so well. It was all still fresh. I picked up the bottle of champagne on the table and drank some out the bottle. I didn't even feel sorry for him, Ryan shouted before lighting his cigarette. I got the impression that saying too much would get us nowhere. You have to forgive yourself, but more importantly, forgive Felix. Dulce said. It was his choice. Know that. Don't feed your guilt. Dulce picked up the cheap champagne bottle I put down on the glass table and swigged the last of it. What he pulled was selfish at best. You were always good to him. Ryan let out a thick cloud of smoke, staring at the pile on the floor. I didn't cry. After Felix killed himself in the apartment, Ryan became obsessed with purifying it. He claimed there was a buildup of negative energy and he was cursed. He was getting headaches and nightmares. He stopped working on music altogether. The night before, I remember he performed a cleansing ritual, cleaning the walls using a mix of lemon and ammonia. At that point, it was obvious the curse was his real frustration at not understanding why Felix killed himself. I've met other musicians, artists, transplants living in Harlem. There are some you prefer to others. I like Ryan. He's from Minnesota. Think about the good times, the good memories you shared, Dulce said to Ryan. Ryan stood up and moved to the middle of the room facing the window. Let's clap, he said, opening the window. I read online that clapping your hands together cleanses the space. Dulce stood next to him and I followed his lead. I didn't want to deny the moment. Cup your hands, pull your arms together like this, pull the negative energy and move it toward the window and clap to get it out. We clapped 50 times. Ryan kept the window open to let fresh energy flow in. On the floor littered empty coffee cups. A bowl of salt. Dinner was over. I popped a second champagne bottle. I stood up and walked to the kitchen. I kicked over the bowl of salt meant to absorb the negative energy in the apartment. I felt drunk. I looked outside the window again. I had nothing to do but to observe the world within and without like an artist. I walked to the bathroom and looked in the mirror to feel myself again. I didn't want to be alone. Dulce was sitting on the sofa. She gave me a nice smile when I walked out the bathroom. That made me feel good. My piety and strong religious faith belongs to any woman wearing a large, comfortable smile. Not only is she beautiful, she's a filmmaker. She produced, directed, and filmed documentaries for a digital media company in Brooklyn. She was older than me, but I still wanted to wash her feet. The ancient Egyptians believed in Ka, a life force that lives on in the grave. Ka means a body, so most ancient graves are decorated with statues. I said out loud to no one in particular. I felt hungry but didn't want to eat anything. Sitting felt nice, like I felt like I could light a candle under the sun. The last time I felt something, I was watching Spider-Man 2. It's crazy how close you can get in a short time. I didn't ask to be the individual with the power to do the right thing. This is it, and there's so much we can do before everything is annihilated. In the dark of an unfamiliar street, I sat on a stoop in front of a gated doorway. I drank the crispy night air. It was cold. 8 hours ago, I was breaking eggs. I felt like I could hold down the universe and twist its fingers until a growing lullaby could be heard across America. I got up and walked into a small bodega on the corner. There were customers waiting at the counter. A woman with a child speaking Spanish to the man in front of her. I made my way through the crowd and walked to the back. I grabbed a canned soda, cracked it and took a sip. After paying for my soda, I walked outside. I could hear the train rumbling overhead. 3 Hispanic women and several children sat outside speaking Spanish. The kids kicked around a soccer ball. I felt it couldn't be any better. The world was old, but the street looked good. Puffing a cigarette out the window, I waved to the old lady watching me as I crossed into the empty street. I saw 2 crazy little boys set off a handful of firecrackers. I roamed the street passing the rusty gates in the neighborhood. Police cars drove by looking for any evidence to make something disappear. Everything around me was black. I felt it was safe. I didn't know what it meant until now. I wanted to see some flowers. There was a siren blaring through the soft darkness. A fat man in shorts walked toward me holding a pizza box. The season was changing. A group of boys were playing basketball under the orange glow of the lights. I didn't watch the load of clothes my mom asked me to. I figured I'd do it the next day. Standing there thinking about how she was going to complain, I walked away from the playground. "Don't fucking touch at me," she yelled. "Let me talk," the boyfriend said. He tried to move closer to the young woman, but she backed off. "You heard me," she yelled. The boyfriend stopped in his tracks saying, "Listen, it's not my baby, I promise." The girlfriend couldn't contain her rage any longer. She called him a loser, picked up an empty trash can and threw it at him. I decided to cross the street. I wanted to turn down the next corner. I was so far off. I will always love her. She was my first. I shared my best memories with her. On my side, no one will be able to replace that experience. No one wins in life. You're either expendable or inferior. The worst fears people have today, the popular ones at least, are death, cancer, and raising children. I remember when I was younger riding my blue bicycle under the sun all the time that my friends gave up on me. When I worked behind a glass window, I let you eat food every time you made a mistake. I was the school bully with a rich family. I had the newest everything. If friendship is a red ribbon, then sometimes I can be the scissors. I don't care for your well-being or interests, but if you act like that with me, I'd never walk back into your life. It would be useless to ask me to stay because something about a crowded city makes me attract the people I want to attract. It's just a bad case of loneliness. I always thought I'd get run down in the street by a car. It's not being in control of the acceleration that freaks me out. I believe as a general thing, if someone fakes sympathy, they should be slapped. For years, they will poison you with their eyes. Upper middle class supremacy is nothing new. It's always been a matter of income and ancestry, not color. When President Roosevelt sat with Negro men, the newspapers all read, "White Southern men, how do you feel? White Southern women, how do you feel?" I arrived at a large open space. People liked me because I was genuine and spoke my mind. My attitude toward ignorant people was to urge them to use more care. I think personally, the world will never find peace because everyone's too busy. In truth, women care how much money a guy makes, rightly so, because a man's got to do a good day's work. I had no considerable personal experience. It was like I was engaged in a practical joke. The evening wind shook the trees. For a second, the silence in the air was noticeable. When I looked up, I seen one glowing star in the clear, dark sky. I thought about living as a celebrity. I wanted to be Sandra Bullock. She is successful, beautiful, and people loved her. The highest form in life is being a high-profile celebrity wearing an expensive gown, doing cocaine in the club. The air was light. A man was outside sweeping the front of his stoop. I looked at the world for a long moment. I was walking around on an empty stomach. I tried to find a pizza shop. A big star. "So what's the weather like?" the Admiral asked, stretching. The dog looked out the window. "I wouldn't take a human out in it," he said. "Better than yesterday. It shouldn't be too cold." "Good," the Admiral said. "Have you already been outside?" "Of course," the dog said. You don't think I get up the same time as you, do you? Did you go for a walk? The Admiral asked. Who did you see? Any dogs I know? Those females are awful, the dog said wearily. I met another one this morning. Their fixation with perfume. I said hello to her and then I had to sniff her nose in front of everyone. It smelled too much like carnations down the other end. He sneezed at the thought. The Admiral commiserated with him and called for Arthur to bring breakfast. Arthur had a disapproving look on his face as he brought in a platter of morning nibbles, roast beef and sauce, lobster mayonnaise, onion tart, and a cognac coffee to wash everything down. The Admiral was on a diet. A long, lanky youth was following behind, his protruding Adam's apple and small, floppy bow tie revealing his penchant for bebop. My word, the Admiral said. It's Charlie. I tried to stop him, Arthur said. Hi, Admiral, Charlie said, still in the sack. Do you know what time it is? The dog muttered something about intruders and skulked off to places less frequented. 11:45, the Admiral said. It's the usual time. I need a lot of sleep because I often wake up in the afternoon. I've come to get you, Charlie said, to take you to the movies. The latest craze, Arthur said. What to see, the Admiral said. And why so early? Charlie turned red. He had a white shirt and blue eyes, so the Admiral stood to attention. I've met a charming young lady, Charlie began unexpectedly. Her name is Luella Bing and she's in the movies. She's a real artiste, a star. Never heard of her, Arthur said. Me either, the Admiral said. But I don't often go to the movies. I read cookbooks instead. I'm telling you, Charlie added, she has an important part in a major film, The Hellhole of Columbar. Is it new, the Admiral asked. Yes, Arthur said. Pepe Muget and Jose Lamalouette are in it. It opens this morning to a triply exclusive audience at the Abbaye, the Club de Stars, and Saigny Ekran. We need to be there around 12:30, 1 o'clock, Charlie added. Ah, the Admiral said. That's quite soon. She's waiting for me in the car, Charlie said. Hurry up. Shall I take all this back then, Arthur said. What a waste of time. The Admiral's beaming face broke into a painful grimace on seeing Arthur disappear with the platter. Remaining polite, nonetheless, he threw back the covers and pulled on his red socks. What part do you play in this film? The Admiral asked. The four of them were in Charlie's car. The dog was in the front seat next to Charlie, with the Admiral and Luella in the back. The Admiral was scratching his thin black mustache with the tip of a well-manicured fingernail. It's quite an interesting storyline, Luella said. It's about a settler in the tropics who, despite all sorts of rivalries, ends up finding a diamond mine. Unfortunately, he falls in love with a treacherous woman he takes away with him to live in his cabin, and she betrays him. It's very moving. Luella had dark skin and her makeup accentuated the sparkle in her eyes. As for the rest of her, she was well developed and in all the right places. It's a great role, the Admiral said. What's more, it's the role that has withstood the test of time. It fits you like a glove. Yes, Luella said, but it's Michelle Maringay who landed it. You know, all you have to do is sleep with everyone. What about you? Me, Luella said. I bring something different home for lunch. In the film, I play a half-caste servant. So it takes place in the tropics, the Admiral inquired thoughtfully. Yes, and it wasn't too hot while we were shooting. She laughed a little too self-consciously. The Admiral tried to think about something else because he was worried about his blood pressure. They all got out because Charlie had just pulled up outside the bay. Do you think we'll get in, Charlie said. I don't know, the Admiral said. You look really silly, you three, said the dog, who came bounding back. He placed his paw on an old man who was standing still and who held out his hand and opened up his umbrella. They had been waiting for 50 minutes. There was one final surge of the queue in front of them, and the cashier abruptly pulled down the shutter, which made a squishing sound. "We're sold out," he said. "Oh," the Admiral said. "What say we go and have some lunch?" "Quick," Charlie said. "Let's dash over to the Club des Stars. Maybe we can get in there." Charlie's car took off again, backfiring. Charlie was wearing a pair of lovely yellow gloves, and his fat, black, black hat made it look like he had an oval halo. Luella seemed impatient. The Admiral was listening to his ravenous stomach churn out a tune and was waving his finger to the beat. The dog put his head between his paws and fell asleep on the cushion. They queued up at the Club des Stars from 2 o'clock until 4:20 and didn't get in. Next, it was the roller shutter at Cyan Ekran that came down at 6:40, severing the hindquarters of a woman scurrying inside. They went back to the bay at 8:30. They were promised 3 cheap seats for the night session. On the proviso, they waited. At 10 o'clock, exhausted, the two men stumbled to their allocated seats. Luella, 10 meters ahead, was becoming more and more nervous. The dog was still asleep in the car. He only woke up at around 11 o'clock to look at the clock and snigger, satisfied. At the end of the first reel, the Admiral dozed off while stroking the fur on the coat of the lady sitting next to him, which began to purr. The hero had only just set out for Riti Tatari, the hellhole of Columbar. Behind them, Charlie's soft snoring was becoming lost in the sound of the engines of the black boat that was making for the islands. 3 rows in front, Luella hadn't taken her eyes off the screen. "Yes," the Admiral said into the phone. "Yes, I must have fallen asleep right at the beginning. Why? It was the explosion in the forest at the end that woke me up." "Me too," Charlie said. "So you didn't see her scene?" "I told her it was very good," the Admiral assured him. "But I can't remember what she answered. I was very tired." "Me too," Charlie said. "I paid her lots of compliments." He was speaking with great difficulty, as if he had porridge in his mouth. "What's wrong with you?" the Admiral said. "Two broken teeth," Charlie said. "Her scene was cut out when they edited the film a month ago. You know, she was no more than an extra." Cucumber health benefits. A dark green cucumber is healthy. Packed with minerals, a cucumber can keep you hydrated because cucumbers are full of water. Eat a cucumber and flush out toxins in the body. A cucumber is a fruit, not vegetable. Cucumber slices can fight bacteria in your mouth. Multiple vitamins, including vitamin B1, vitamin B5, biotin. Cucumbers help ease feelings of anxiety. Cucumbers also contain vitamin C and antioxidants. Add cucumber slices to your salad. Cucumbers also make a great base for vegetable juice. Make a paste with cucumber slices to cleanse your skin, reduce dark eye circles and puffy eyes. A natural drug. At the moment, my brain craves the high from a quick, intense climax, flooding my whole body with a wave of pleasure, neurochemical rush triggered by pulling and pumping my hard penis until I ejaculate, releasing dopamine, endorphins, serotonin to give a relief from stress, boredom, a natural drug. I hold it together now. Just to prove a point. For 3 years, I worked in a cafeteria serving hot plates and plastic forks to people colored by need. When I met Simon, he was on the run for stabbing his brother, and his girl lost her baby up in Maine. A couple of 19 and 22, they were living with a drug dealer, and she was sneaking and stealing, he said. It wasn't like last time. I said I'll stop using. This time I had to pay back the dope she stole. A mother, she says, I will never forgive him. What he did to me, he killed my baby. He kicked me down the stairs just to prove a point. To the people that believe in magic, I don't trust how corporate systems manipulate our bodies to protect profits. We know the federal government only hires scientists whose work supports preconceived conclusions, especially on politically charged topics. These powerful corporations have figured how habits work, and by targeted marketing, they load this whole thing with fire, sending it around. Look what they did with the term organic. That word is now near meaningless. The French say Obama is a disappointment. I'm cold. I get my sister to chew my food for me. I'm the guy who has absolutely no teeth. I went from feeling great about myself again to broken down infected. X-ray me, man. Dosed with lots of antibiotics. I just want to smile again. The actor. Finding a job is a challenge. It takes hard work, time, and patience that no one is willing to pay for. Little Cross. Fish are more aware and intelligent than people. Left to sink, they lay traps. They know how to suffer. If you start declaring to yourself every day that you have a healthy mind, in a healthy body, living in a healthy experience, then nothing can kill you. I want all my relationships to unfold in love and peace. If there's unity in my life, I know my body will be balanced and I'll keep experiencing perfect health. I'm happy and free, calling, irritating, and annoying anyone, everyone today because I'm not frustrated or resentful. My life has become more about understanding and intelligence. I'm more calm and poised in the world. I've become a woman built to last, and to save my child, I'm willing to go hungry. If you're dealing with emotional or mental stress, I just want to say you can confront anxiety or depression by dreaming yourself standing in front of a giant black rock.